All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're pleased to have with us in the studio today Mr. Robert Smith.
Robert Lee Smith.
Robert Lee Smith from the original Tams, the only survivor from the original Tams. Is that correct?
Correct.
If you don't mind, for the folks that need the history, to give us a little bit of back in the beginning. When did the Tams first originate and get together?
Well, the Tam first started, we were just singing around in the local nightclubs in the city of Atlanta. We all went to the same school, and we were just used to sing around from nightclub to nightclub for a little or no money, just to get started in the music business.
Did you did you start out as the Tams, or when did that name come about?
Well, that name came about. I was just reading the article about it started out as the Four Dots. That's not true. When the Tams started out as the Tams. And
what year was that? Do you remember the exact year? Have any idea?
Oh, man.
Or a time frame?
Oh, man, it's been a long time since this. But like I said, it was in the late 50s.
Late 50s? And you started out as the Tams, and who were the original members of the Tams?
The original member was Robert Lee Smith, Charles Pope, Joseph Pope, Horace Key, and Floyd Ashton.
Okay. Tell me about how you guys, where did your break come from? Tell me how that progressed from playing around in the local nightclubs and just and to becoming professional musicians. How did that transition occur?
Well, I was in charge of a hotel, a big hotel, and all the guys used to come around to the hotel, and we used to sing around in the hotel where I was the manager.
Uh-huh.
And we were discovered by a big music mogul called Mr. Bill Lowry. We was sitting around rehearsing, just singing, and the phone rang from Mr. Bill Lowry, told us that he was interested in recording us.
And do you remember what year that was?
That was in 1962.
1962. Wow. Okay. So what was the first song that you guys recorded as the Tams?
Untie Me.
And who wrote that song?
The late, great Mr. Joe South.
Joe South. Man, there's a name.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool. Now, was he involved in other Tams originals?
He was a big recording artist. He had a lot of great artists that he wrote songs for. A bunch of guys from that area.
And when you, let's see, I want to get kind of a timeline established of from that point forward.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were together as that original group. There were some replacements along the way, though, right? Can you fill me in on that?
Yes. It was a guy named Willie James Rutherford. He was a member of the Tams. He bought the Tams, their first outfit, which was a shanty Tam and a red sweater. His name was Willie James Rutherford, but he had problems along the way, so he was replaced by Mr. Horace Key.
Okay. Do you have any idea what time frame that was, what year that was, or? I know this is tough. It's been a long time ago, hasn't it?
It's been a long, long time.
If you don't mind me asking, Mr. Smith, how old are you now?
78.
78? You guys are still performing. You're here in North Myrtle Beach now because you performed last night at the Spanish Galleon. Is that correct?
It's true.
Wow, that's cool. How many times over the years do you think you've been to North Myrtle Beach to play?
Wow. It started in about 65, about 1965.
And that was along about the time that people actually started calling it beach music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I've been trying to research some of the history myself and to learn what the roots are and where it all came from. And most everything I can tell was between 65 and 67, people started referring to it as beach music because it was the music they heard when they were here at the beach.
Right.
Did you guys know anything about beach music at the time?
No, we did not, because at the time, my manager just recorded us on time, and we didn't know we went in as a pop singer, and then they tagged it as beach music.
How about that?
Our music.
Yeah. So after Untie Me, what came next?
We had another song called, I think it was Deep Inside Me, which was not a big hit for the town. It was just a little mild hit for the town. It wasn't no big hit for the towns.
What was the next big hit?
Well, we had several big hits. We had Untie Me was one of our biggest records. Then after Untie Me, we had What Kind of Fool Do You Think I Am? Laugh It Off, Hey Girl, Don't Bother Me. And we had several hits after our first record. Through the years, we had several hits.
So there's another group of Tams performing now. You guys are the original Tams.
Right.
At what point in time did the group split apart, and what caused that?
Well, it's a long story. It really started. It's really started about finance. That's why the group split, because of finance.
That's the root of a lot of problems.
Right.
So when you left that group of the Tams, did you immediately start another group, or was there time between that, or can you give us some kind of tell us how that went?
Well, when we split, some of the Tams, we started another group after we left the original group. Me, Charles Pope, and Horace Key, and myself, we started another group.
And what did you call that group?
The Tams.
The Tams, okay. And what year was that, roughly?
It was in the 90s, 80s, in the 80s.
In the 80s. So at that time in the 80s, there was officially two groups of Tams.
Yes.
And who was left in the first group?
Well, when the group split, the group went with me. We all left the group at the same time. Charles Pope, Robert Smith, Horace Key. We left the group. We left Joe Pope over there with the group that we left.
Oh, okay. Joe Pope stayed there. Charles Pope went with the group that you established then.
Yes.
Okay. So, recently we did an article and interviewed Little Red and Diane Pope, and you received a copy of that article from a stop in a restaurant that you made this morning, and you called me, and there's some things in there that you said you'd like to correct on the article, and that's what we'd like to do. We'd like to know what your side of that.
Well, I want the people in Radio Land to know that I'm Robert E. Smith, the only original member left of the Tams and still performing. You know, this guy, Little Red, it really started as a joke when it started, because his father was a member of the group at the time. And he started performing with us. We paid him $1.25 a night. He was like 5 or 6 years old when he went on the stage with us, you know.
And who was his father?
His father was named Albert Collar.
Okay. And Albert was a member of the group at that time?
Yes.
And Little Red began performing then at 5 or 6?
Yes.
Okay. What else is in there that you think is not correct?
Well, one thing I would like to clear up, they said about question how about the music do you see new coming down the road? Well, my group, Robert E. Smith, we have a new record out now called Talking About My Girl. That's our new record, Robert Lee Smith and his Tams.
Uh-huh. Now, did you write some original music for that record?
No, we did not. We didn't write this. Somebody else wrote that for us.
Uh-huh. Now, are there any of the Tams songs on there from the past, or this?
No, we have all new stuff.
It's all new stuff, and they're remakes of other songs that have been produced?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'd certainly like to have a copy of that so that we can play it. That'd be great.
Well, I'll make sure you get one.
Yeah. So what kind of events are you guys playing now? How do you get to play a lot?
Well, we haven't been playing because there's been a big mix-up about the groups.
Explain that to me, if you don't mind.
Well, like I said, I've been performing with the Tams ever since the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And after two groups got together, there's been a lot of stuff said negatory about my group. And this is why my group has not been working as much as the other group, because of a lot of negative stuff been said about my group. But we're beginning to start back performing again.
And are you guys out of Atlanta now?
Yes.
Well, it's great that you got to come to Myrtle Beach and perform. I wish I'd gotten to see it, but
Man, we had a great show last night.
yeah.
A lot of the older groups was there.
Uh-huh. I'm sure there's a lot of people up there glad to see you.
Mm-hmm.
So what else do you want to tell us about the Tams, the history of the Tams? What do you think that's important that our listeners and viewers would like to see and hear?
It's important that the world know that I'm still alive, Robert Lee Smith, the original Tam. I'm still alive and still performing.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to add before we end this?
No. I just want the people to know that I am the original Tams.
There you go. Well, we got it, and I'll write that up in the next issue of the magazine. And
Okay.
it's been my pleasure to have you in our studio, Mr. Smith.
Right. So, before we go, I just want to say that I, Robert Lee Smith, is the original Tam.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.